drip, drip. Came through dripping, drip, drip. Came through dripping, drip, drip. Diamonds on my wrist, they tripping.
Okay. What is happening, folks? Welcome back to Drips, episode 13, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, episode 13. That sounds good. Either way, we've got a good one for you today. We'll be talking some time management. We've got some dead animals in the yard. Of course, we'll get into all the KMS chatter. But before any of that, even if your idea of a liquid lunch is drinking your 5th coffee of the day with zero sustenance, just so you could rip more dials.
Sustenance.
This will still be the most boring part of your week. Feels good to say that. Pat, how are you?
John, long time no chat.
No kidding.
Long time no chat. I'm really good. Thank you for asking me that.
Good. You look good. You got the fresh haircut. Was that today?
No, this was 3 days ago. Have you ever gone? Do you go to a guy, like a normal guy?
He's relatively normal, yeah.
Like just a guy, like the same guy over and over?
Yes. Yeah.
I was surveying a place down in Cape Cod, and I just walked past a barbershop and just did it.
Wow, walk-in. How long did you wait?
He was just sitting there. I was like, "You cutting hair?" He's like, "Yep." We chatted for a little bit. It was nerve-wracking. He did okay though.
Now let's assume that a regular barber doesn't watch this. Let's just assume. I know everybody does, but
I'm nervous about this.
Where are you comparing your current haircut with your regular guy? If you're comfortable saying.
My regular guy is better, I would say. That's because I'm more comfortable. And he takes like 15, 20 minutes. This guy was a bit of a craftsman, 45, 50, which I'm totally fine with. Prices were better in the Cape, believe it or not. But my guy was booked up and, it was just becoming too much. I was getting back to the old flow days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can't bring back those demons.
Was this guy a talker?
Yeah.
Which I was see you doing well with that, though.
I was okay with, yes. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it was like getting wasted and watching the Bruins. Like I think he told me about each game of the Bruins series. Super nice guy. I'm not bashing him at all. Great guy. Yeah. Go check him out in the Cape. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, no free ads. Now, before we get into anything else, do you want to tell the people what your strategy is here? Because I am seeing a little bit of growth going on.
Correct. So this right here, I have a pimple too because of the hair. I'm trying to see. This has never happened before. Never. The connectors like that you have, it doesn't grow there and it doesn't grow here. Mm-hmm. I have a fat face. There's no getting around it. I can't hide it anymore. I'm trying to eat lettuce like a motherfucker and bang it on the Peloton. It's a work in progress. We are shedding pounds slightly, not as quick as I like. So I think I just have to try to grow a beard and hide the fat.
I don't know. I mean, the Peloton, the lettuce, and obviously basketball. I mean, you're playing in a game once a week. You're out there hooping multiple times a week.
Yeah,
you're out of practice. So you've got an active lifestyle going on right now.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you noticing too. I'm trying things, and I always appreciate you noticing my growth.
Absolutely. Speaking of growth, I've got a segue like you read about, Pat. I've got a tree. We're gonna get right into it. I've got this tree in my backyard. Okay, I've talked to you privately about this because I wanted to see what your stance was. It's a larger tree on the larger side, and I'm really starting to notice this summer is the most that it's as far as like the leaves and everything has really, really grown full, and a conundrum has started to pop up, which I wanted to discuss today.
Sure.
I actually thought we could potentially bring on an expert to discuss trees if we could.
Wow.
If we could. I thought that
might
be special. Yeah. So let's see what we can do here.
Hey, guys.
And there he is.
What's up, Ron?
Beanbag Ron. Thank you.
First of all, hold on. I love the intro to that segment too. Speaking of growth, I just started cracking up.
It was a good transition.
I was looking for absolutely anything. I was like, dude, how do we go from haircuts to the tree? I gotta find a way.
Good shit.
So Ron, let me ask you this. Let's just get a little background going.
Sure.
You're in the tree business.
Yep.
Are you residential or commercial or both?
We do both. The company I work for. I do residential.
Okay.
Oh.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So my conundrum is the tree itself is a beautiful looking tree. And I actually think it's sort of wise looking. So I have an issue taking it down, and I don't know if I'm going to yet. However, from my back deck, when you look out in the direction of that tree, there would be a view of the Kikamuit River. Beautiful river. I want to tell people that I have a water view, but when I go back there now, ain't no water view.
Yeah.
Because the big old wise tree is there. Should I feel any sort of like moral obligation to leave the tree up? And can you talk me into taking the tree down?
Yes to both. Because, yeah, I mean, killing trees, is like a treatment of last resort. Our first goal isn't to kill trees. But, you got to weigh your options. Is it worth it? Do you appreciate the view better? Does it give you privacy? Is it,
shade
something
cover.
that, yeah, is it a specimen? Is it invasive? Do you want to take it down? So do you have a picture of the tree so I can get a look?
Now, while he's pulling up the tree, I have a couple of questions as a whole that I've always wondered. If I have a tree in my neighbor's yard, because this happened last year and he just went for it, and the tree is hanging over into my yard, am I like legally or morally obligated? Can I cut the part that hangs over my yard? Like, do you ever get put in like an awkward situation where like somebody
All the time.
Really? And they come
All
out
the time.
like, oh, that's like, that was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, I work with my brother too. He works for the company I work for. And his area is like Newton, Wellesley, Weston, like a lot of rich people with, and especially in Newton, the houses are really close to each other and the trees are really old and big. And like, without a doubt, every single time I'm working there, someone will come out and bitch about their tree and how, you're cutting my tree, and then it just turns in. And then I've seen neighbors almost square off and fight. I'm so used to it at this point that it's not even awkward. I'm just like, nope, shut up. Like, I'm just cutting, like, get out of the way.
Well, isn't the law once the tree goes over into the other person's property, you can do what you want with the part that's hanging over the property?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
I feel like as a neighbor, though, like it's your responsibility to be like, hey, I'm cutting this tree down, or like, this is hanging over. I'm chopping it. Just a heads up, because it puts you in a pickle. Yeah.
Well, usually, I mean, you'd like to think that like neighbors are kind of like on the same page as far as like, okay, these dead branches are hanging over my yard. Like, most of the time it is pretty cordial and, it's agreed upon. But like, say if there's a huge tree in between two houses and and one neighbor wants to take it down, sometimes like, if one neighbor really wants to take it down, they'll foot the whole bill, or sometimes they'll split it.
Yeah.
And it kind of depends. But
that makes sense.
Yeah. When you get into the city, it gets really complicated and people get uptight.
Are you more often than not just cutting branches, or are you taking whole trees down?
It all depends. Like right now, I'm on a killing streak. I've just been killing trees for the last, I don't know, 5 days or so. But go a week where I'm hand snipping and pruning and stuff like that, and I can go weeks without taking a tree down.
That's like a term. Like if you're getting sent out to a job and they're like, you're taking the whole thing down, you're like, oh, full kill.
Oh yeah,
that's sick.
Oh yeah, kills.
Well,
Yeah, we just call them kills.
Like the morality factor. Like, do you lay in bed and go, I can't believe I killed 10 trees this week. Like, how do I sleep?
There's trees everywhere. I think you got to get over like everywhere. People like that are crazy.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I am a tree lover, and like I grew up into this, honestly. Like, if you want to get into my backstory or whatever, my grandfather ran the National Arborist Association for like 30 years. My dad started the company I work for. His brother, my uncle, he owns a company on Long Island. My brother's into it. So I've been around this all my life. So I've always been like raised to like, not want to kill trees, but it's a part of the business and I love doing it. It's awesome.
It's like it hit my TikTok algorithm recently, and like you get guys
really?
And it's flying past their heads. Like some of the shit that you guys do, like, are you up there like a chainsaw and like you can control the way it falls? Like I see some of that where the guy will like cut it and like he'll like turn and just backhand the thing, and it's sick.
Yeah. So there's like cutting and holding and stuff like that. I like to use ropes and pulleys and get all technical sometimes. It all depends on the mood or, the situation of the tree taken down. But yeah, it's fun. I treat it like a sport. I feel like a kid every day, like just being outside. And like I literally treat it like a sport. It's so fun.
You're obviously not afraid of heights.
Yeah, you kind of can't be.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wouldn't do well. I'm afraid of a lot of things, heights included.
Yeah, I'm not good with heights. And then even if you got me in the tree and then you handed me a chainsaw, I'd be like, yeah, no way. I can't do both of these things at the same time.
Yeah, it definitely took a while to like finally get used to that. Now I train young guys all the time who are terrified of heights, and I have to like calm them down and talk them through it. And it can be exhausting, but it takes a lot of patience. And the more you do it, the better you get.
Before we get into the picture of the tree, which we can move to next, is there like a cutoff for like if it's a 30-mile-an-hour day, you guys not going out there?
I hate working in wind like that. So we have a contract with Eversource, and so like when a big storm comes by and like there's high winds, I'll be on call, and so I'll work in that, and it's sketchy as fuck because you don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, no, in like a regular day if it's just giant gusts of wind and you're climbing, it's fucking terrifying.
Climbing?
Oh yeah.
So do you do the thing where you wrap the thing around and you scale it up like that with do you have like the spikes on your shoes?
When you take down a tree, you put spikes on if you're climbing. And then I climb just pruning too, just trimming. But I run a bucket every day, so I only climb really if I have to. I like only like the tough stuff, and then I'll leave like the easy climbs for the young guys.
I hope for some reason, and it won't happen due to our viewership. I hope for some reason that some of those assholes in New York or whoever playing on Thursday like this stumbles onto their YouTube page and they click on it because they're gonna be like, oh, so this is beanbag round. Okay, so he climbs like 100-foot trees too. Like, all right, fuck. Like now I'm a little
30-mile-an-hour gusts.
You got Pat over.
I don't want to defend that guy.
I know. It's so normalized to me that I just treat it like it's any other job.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like naturally humble, I guess. But like, I don't know. As long as you know what you're doing, you're safe. That's kind of how I was always taught. So,
are you comfortable sharing any like horror stories that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. Luckily, like I've never seen anyone die or anything, but like,
right.
I've definitely had some close calls.
Like a finger getting crushed, someone falling out of a tree. Like, what do we got?
Yeah. We've had guys fall out of trees before. I was taking down pine trees all day by hand, with like one of my best friends that I work with. It was like a 90-degree day, and these were like 100-foot pines. And we had one left, and we were both smoked because like we had climbed 3 each. There was one more, and my dad actually sold this job, so I called him and I was like, "Hey, we're pretty smoked. Like we want to, wrap it up." He's like, "No, you got to get that done." And I was like, oh, "Okay." So I went up like halfway, and I, just wanted to take the easy way out and just cut the thing in half instead of just, taking my time and being more safe about it. And the tree, and I put a rope in it. We were pulling it over with a machine, and this was like a 50-foot top, and it went sideways and pinned me to the trunk.
No.
And I was, and that was like, that's the only time, like I've had a lot of close calls, like with wires and stuff and, that kind of thing. And that all happens so fast that like, you don't really have time to react, and you're like, oh, that was fucked up. But like, I was pinned like for probably like a minute. It felt like hours, and I was like, fuck, like this is the way I'm gonna die. Like this sucks. Like that was like a legit near-death experience for me.
So what did the other kid have to come and like how did you get it off you?
No, so so the top went sideways, and the tips of the top were hung up in another tree, and by the grace of God, the tips, the tree that was holding up the tips failed and released the top, and it came down. And I was just kind of like scraped up. I was just more shaken up, It was
no shit.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And all the, like, you read about like, accidents and fatalities and stuff like that. Like they all happen at the end of the day when everyone's tired and you just want to take the easy way out. So, I've definitely learned from that. That was probably like 7 years ago now, but yeah.
And
Holy
poor little me wants his water view. Got to have some guy risk his life.
No, dude, I don't blame you.
You're
So
like an asshole.
yeah, no, I don't blame you at all. If you want to bring that picture up, John. Okay, so get that thing out of there.
So
Don't
here's
have
the
any
other
more
thing.
qualms.
We've had issue like with storms that branches from that tree come down all the time.
Yep.
I've even had one whip and hit like my son's window during a storm before. So that really started to make me think about it. And then, of course, you know, in the morning I want to go drink my coffee and look at the damn kicky, and I can't. So
Yeah, so I don't see any reason why you want to keep that. That's a Norway maple. They're invasive.
so this is the kind of insight I was looking for. It's a Norway
Yeah.
maple.
Yeah. They used to plant them as like street trees back in the day, and they don't do it anymore because they're invasive and they spread and they get big like that and they get weak. And I see branches break all the time in high winds from those type of trees, especially when there's leaves on the tree because they get really top heavy. And you know, if you like, I zoomed in because you texted me the picture. I zoomed in and you could see that there's like decay in some of that wood too.
I saw
So
some holes starting to form.
yeah, exactly. That wood's hollow. There's not a lot of integrity left in that tree. And you know, if it was huge and you know it had cables in it that were like, you know, securing, you know, the big leaders from failing, then I would consider just pruning it because then it's big enough where you can see through to the water. But that tree's junk, man. I mean, that's just my opinion.
When you say invasive and it spreads, so what you're probably talking about is underground. The roots are just taking over are they taking nutrients from everything in my yard too?
Yeah. So it's basically like a giant weed. You know, you see it like weeds, like they just spread. Like that's what that tree is. It's still good firewood if you want to keep it. Keep the wood.
How often does that happen? You get
good amount.
Like the surplus, right? Or like the people like, hey, can you cut down but I want to keep it?
Yeah.
So many fucking factors here.
What do you do if
see
they don't want it? You take it.
Yeah, we take it. Like so. Let's talk about the access to that tree because that does not look like it's in a great spot.
No, the only way to get the whole yard is surrounded by that white vinyl fence. I don't have like one of these big gates where you could get like a truck back there. It's just like a through gate. So that would have to be climbed or potentially craned out, but it's not big enough where I'd even want to use a crane for that. So that's like a
crane.
So you could do that. You could climb and get that whole tree down in a day, or is this a multi-day project? Yeah.
Oh yeah. That would probably take a half a day.
What's that gonna run him?
For John, I would.
Depends how I
honestly like tree tech prices. You're looking at like probably $2,000, but for me, I do it less for $1,000 for you. Like
you.
$700.
Smokes. Good for
you.
Dude,
because
trees are no joke. There's big money in the tree takedown business.
Well, also the access to that tree sucks. No offense, but it's just like it has to be done by hand, you know, you gotta either that or we send out, you know, one of our cranes.
And that I would assume is much like that would up the cost if you had to bring a crane down there, right?
Yeah, because you'd have to cover the fuel and, you know, pay the guys and all that. So yeah, just all that together it adds up.
What
is
are you
that like
looking
a
at?
One-man job, or you got 2 or 3 guys out there on that one?
That was my question.
For that tree, I would climb it and I would probably have 2 guys on the ground.
And are they just kind of picking shit up? Or are they tying stuff like?
Yeah, they're helping me rig down the branches like from the ground and just dragging. And that's what I run every day. I work with the same 2 guys every day. And I drive the bucket and they come in the chip truck. And yeah, it's fun.
$2,000. Good for you, Ron.
That's just, I don't know. I mean,
I know.
That's what I'm looking at.
Still.
Yeah, you're saying some guy comes by, gives it a look, he'd probably quote around that number.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Oh, are you taking stumps out too? Or is that outside your scope? Like you're cutting it down to the stump, but will you go in and dig out the stump too?
We stump grind too. I don't do that personally. I just cut it down as low as I can.
Nice.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, maybe we're gonna have a later episode where it's just Ron in my
Live,
backyard on the top of my tree. So
Well, it's funny you said that. I was actually thinking of an idea for this show is like doing like drips in the field or like some blue collar,
definitely.
type of
Come watch all my
drips, you know?
valets crash cars. That'd be great.
because I can get real drippy about this type of shit too. Because like I
hate to break it to you, but you already have. So
yeah, I know, yeah. But this is just a little bit. Like I can fucking talk for hours about this type of shit.
we're 22 minutes in, and I feel like we could keep going on trees. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
all
I
in.
know. See, it flies by for me. I can talk shop all day. So yeah, just let me know. I could always help you out. I'll help a teammate out for cheap.
That's a
Awesome. We'll
good guy
definitely be
right
in
there.
touch.
But and you're not going to miss that because you're not losing any privacy. You're gaining a view.
Mhm.
You know, you're losing a turd. And
the leaves
you have
are
young kids,
absolute.
and your playground's right there.
You're absolutely right, and I'm sick of the leaf pickup. I can't.
Oh,
handle
and
it
the
anymore.
fall must be a bitch too.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
is.
That's a nice spot.
Wow.
You want to get any KMS takes off your chest or basketball takes off your chest before we let you go, Ron?
KMS takes not really. No, I'm locked and loaded, guys.
Thursday.
Yes, you are. Yes, you
I
are.
really am. So
Um,
I know
I
you
got
guys are too.
I got my neighbor to pull his basketball hoop to the driveway. Well, I'm going to. I'm going to go over after this, but he's going in his backyard, and I gotta get it out front. So yeah, like I said in the group chat, I'm the same as you guys. My wife, my son, unborn daughter, basketball, and it's not even really in that order. If she's listening, I apologize, but there's one focus here.
I know it's kind of crazy. It's like literally all I've been thinking about.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's funny, like-
I break it to my wife, like, no, this time it's practice, or no, now it's a game. Oh, by the way, there's a game not only on a Thursday now, it's gonna be on a
Yeah.
Monday. She's like,
Yeah, no, my wife's been very understanding about it. I loved real quick before I go that practice we had, John. That sucks that you missed it. It was
kill
fucking
me.
awesome. I love that type of intensity.
I'm glad Kirk said that in the show too, because the first play, I'm just playing defense. He comes up to me, he goes, "Are you fucking throwing elbows?" I look at him, I go, I don't think I am. And he grabs my arm and like wraps it behind my back.
Yeah.
Just to break it. I'm like, all right, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
He came in with that mentality. I think it was a good idea. It's like, hey, like
it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah, it was
infectious. He came up to me in the bathroom. I saw him. He was like, "Hey, don't be afraid to throw a punch out there."
Fucking
All right.
love it.
And then like I was like kind of playing extra intense, and I did elbow Mutt right in the jaw, and it honestly like was not on purpose, but it probably seems that way. But Mutt
was
took it
great.
good. Kirk immediately called him a pussy after. I was like, "Let's fucking go." So
No,
good.
we gotta
but-
get in the wing column on Thursday.
yeah.
Have to.
All right, boys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Ron. The insight is truly appreciated. We'll talk
Thanks,
to you soon.
All
buddy.
right, no problem.
Talk
All right,
to you
see you
tomorrow.
guys.
See ya.
All right, that's Beanbag Ron. I mean, is there anything better than that?
I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I love this fucking show. Like Mutt talking about soil was the creme de la creme, and then that happens. Like, and you could tell he could go for like another 20, 30 minutes. And I was like locked in. Like when he said the shit, oh, that happens all the time. Like these are all the
Dude, when he dropped the name
Massive.
of the tree and told me it was an invasive species, I was like, that's what I wanted, but I didn't know if I was actually going to get it.
Well, that's what I was doing over here. I was like, zoom in. I'm like, what is he talking about? Like decay, but you can see it when you zoom in.
I don't know what it says about us, but the past two guests we've had have been better than we have. But maybe
we're probably not great at this, but
that's all right. Why don't we stick to sort of the yard? We kind of stay in that realm.
I have a topic I sent you that could and then we could roll into the bunny from there. But
Okay,
I noticed it with your yard a little bit too. I don't know if it's you, Robin. We'll get into Robin again. She owns the fence on her side, and I'm too lazy to put up a new fence. The fucking thing every year is just overgrown with weeds and like vines that just start hanging over and bees nest. Every week I trim them. Every week they come back. And last year she said something to me like, the integrity of the fence is being held up by those flowers. And I was like,
so they're
not
growing on her side of the yard, and then like over the top, they're falling over.
They
or they're
start at
actually
the
coming
base.
through?
They start at the base. They go through the fence too.
Okay.
They start at the base. They either go through, they go up and over. And I have to buy a new fence. I know that, but that's where our beef really started because I started chopping without telling her, and she was like, "Hey, that's how the fence stays held up because it's an old fence and I should get it replaced." But it's the worst.
But the fence, if you put up a fence, is hers coming down, or are you just butting yours against hers?
I don't like her enough right now to be like, "Hey, here's the deal." Like Frank in the back, we haven't, that fence is totally fine, but he's a great guy. He's like, "Listen, I think if we did a land assessment right now, you'd probably have like an extra 6 inches on your side." And I made the joke. I was like, "I would love 6 inches, Frank."
Sure, I was thinking it. Yeah,
but then it came off gay. We like kind of laughed a little bit, but but he's like, listen, he's like, I want to get a new fence anyway, so like, I'll pay for it at some point this summer. I'll just let you know. But like with her, I don't even want to give, like, it's more me. I don't even want to give her like the luxury of like, okay, you won, Robin. Like it's sad, but it's true.
The only issue with like putting a fence against a fence is actually what happened to us. So you can see it in that picture behind the tree. You see like the growth kind of coming over.
Yes,
yep. So before we put that fence in, it was just a stone wall between my neighbor and I. And I actually wasn't even sure whose stone wall it was, like his or mine. So when I called the fence company, I was like, just put it against the stone wall. Like if it's his, whatever, because he keeps his stone wall on his side and I get the vinyl. If it's mine, whatever, I lose a couple inches and whatever. The problem was there's maybe like a foot, like 12 inches gap between the fence and the rocks, and it grows. So it's in between. Yeah. I can't get to it from my yard. So I created an issue, sort of like if I wanted to cut down all the weeds and stuff, I would have to go around into that guy's yard.
Oh, or go over the top, which is impossible.
Well, I can go over the top, like a little, and catch stuff that's kind of hanging down. Yeah. But it's growing pretty healthy back there, and I do wonder if he's getting pissed.
Is he a nice guy?
We're finally starting to communicate. He's been very strange. I bought the house in 2018, and we just started talking, and only because our kids are around the same age and they started playing in the yard. Yeah,
that's fun. Yeah, I wanted to get that off my chest. I saw you have a similar situation, but that's why also I wouldn't want to give up. I wouldn't want to do that either, because then at that point the shit that's growing on my side is just going to start coming over the new fence. I don't want to deal with it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, the fact that she said to you that the vines or whatever, the flowers are keeping up the fence, like that
I'll send you a picture of it. She's not wrong in this instance, and like my wife is like, we got to put the fence up, and I just have a tendency of putting things off. Like there's a pool in my backyard right now with none of the legs on it because I just don't want to go through the process of putting it up.
Sure, I totally understand that. I mean, I've got a sandbox in the backyard with no sand in it, so I don't know if my kid will ever see
bags if we need them. I can bring them on Thursday.
Yeah, why not? Will be a workout for you carrying them.
Yeah, right. 50 pounders.
All right, tell me what happened with the bunny.
Oh man, what a week! And like there's some stuff that I didn't even tell you through text because I was too ashamed to do it. But I figured now it's the right time.
I didn't want to know until we spoke on here.
I figured as much. So it was legitimately this time last week because it was the day before trash day, and I went out where the garbage cans are and I looked off to the side. So our backyard's all fenced in, but there's a little hole in the fence this big. And whenever my dog runs out, that's how the bunnies escape. So the dog's just going to kill the bunnies if I trap them in. So I'm fine with that little hole being there for the bunnies. So right next to that hole is a dead bunny, unfortunately, like pretty good size. Like you couldn't tell in the picture I sent you, rest in peace, Sir Hops and Not. So it's dead, and I'm super squeamish. Like my initial thought process was grab a shovel, grab a rake, and just drag it. But like this is where I'm a total coward, and like in my head I'm like, I'm gonna feel the weight of the dead animal on the rake being put on the shovel, and then I'm gonna have to carry it, put it in the trash, and it'll stink for a night, but the trash is coming that next morning.
You don't think you could have just scraped, like a quick scrape without the rake? Just slide it under?
I probably could have, but what if a foot gets caught underneath and I decapitate a foot? I'm going to throw up immediately. These are all the things that go through my head.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, like, I was like, I'll do it tomorrow morning when I wake up before I bring my son to school, before the trash comes, and then I'll dump in the trash quick. Like, I don't want to deal with this tonight. It was literally 9:00 at night. Next day I get out there. And I just chickened out. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Trash day's gone, but like I'm not doing this right now. Like I'm not gonna ruin my day. So whatever. The trash came, trash went. I came home the next day, John. I shit you not. That bunny, I couldn't see an inch of the bunny. It
Like,
was
all but
covered in maggots.
Oh,
Just destroying it. And at that point, I started getting all
I
squeamish
was gonna say,
again.
but that makes it so much worse, right?
1000%. And at that point, I was like, "You fucking idiot! You should have done it on Tuesday night. You should have done it on Wednesday morning. Like, what the hell do I do now?" And like, I'm the reason I found animal control is because I was Googling companies to come pay to take it. Like, I was willing to pay whatever for somebody to come take this dead bunny, like to get it off my hands and not have to deal with it. Like, my neighbor's like, "What if you pour water on it? I think it'll help the smell." I was like, "Kyle," I was like, "That's a fucking terrible idea. It's gonna be
Yeah, I don't know, because then it's like now there's liquid, and that liquid's gonna run.
And like me being me, I just avoided that area. But like it's right around the corner from my garage. On Saturday, I opened up the garage and I smelt it immediately. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
I called animal control, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we come take care of this stuff all the time." A lady cop pulls up.
Oh, God.
I'm like, "Oh God." Walks over. She's like, "What is that?" I was like, "That's the bunny." This is what I'm telling you. She made me feel really small because I was like, "That's the bunny." She's like, "That bunny's been there." I was like, "Yeah, I saw it last Tuesday, but like I got really squeamish and didn't do it." And she like kind of looked at me and like laughed a little bit. And I was like, "Okay."
Is
she
carrying a shovel?
No. So she just pulls out a black glove out of her pocket, puts it on, picks it up.
No.
And I'm like, at this point, I don't feel good. But at this point, the bunny is so like it's only bones and fur.
It's staying intact. That she like things aren't like falling.
I didn't think it was good when she pulled it up. It was like a big ball of like dust all combined together. So she starts walking back to her car, and I'm like, "Oh, I feel so bad." She has to put this in her car. Grabs my trash can, lifts it up, and just throws it in.
Throws it in. Oh, all right, there you go.
He's like, "Yeah, it's all we do." I was like, "Oh, I could have done that. Obviously, I couldn't have."
No.
She's like, "Yeah, next time," and just
You could have done that with a shovel, but there's no planet where you would have put a glove on and lifted it up. I would.
Oh my God, no! I would have legitimately. I almost passed out when my son was born. Like, no way.
Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy. I have to leave the room when there's blood scenes. Like, no.
Yeah.
So my God, like that was just a worst case scenario. But your initial recommendation was just throw in the woods. There's no woods around me.
Yeah, that's tough.
What does someone do in that situation? It was just a hot mess.
Yeah, were you like when you were walking back there and were you kind of feeling almost embarrassed?
Oh,
Like you're like turning the corner around the garage, like
when she said
this tiny little thing.
When she was like, "What is that?" or "Is that it?" I can't remember exactly. She's like, "Is that it?" I was like, "Yeah."
But also, what did she expect? It wasn't like a deer. Like it's a rabbit. It's gonna be small.
Yeah, but it wasn't like if you walked by it, you would have been like, "That's dead," but I don't know what it is.
When you sent me the picture, it looked flat. Like it looked like it had almost been flat.
They ate everything. They ate everything except for the bones. And then I think like the dew set in and pushed everything down. But yeah, those maggots are no joke. And I'm like, it leads you down the road of like, where did those maggots run off to?
Yeah, I know.
Probably in my house somewhere.
Did you hose it down after?
It was I did, but there was nothing to hose down. Like everything was all combined into one because it was hot on Saturday. So I think it just dried it out into one piece.
Oh, that hot smell must have been fucking awful.
It was really bad, but like I figured it would smell in the trash, and it didn't. I'm losing him tomorrow. He's still in my possession. Like he's in the bottom of the trash.
He's still there, dude. God bless the trash guys.
Yeah. Well, it's the automated truck. It's the clamp and the dump.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha. I mean, I don't know how we do this, but you want to talk some time management?
Dude, yes, because we've been a hot mess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my only excuse is we had a Saturday show that kind of put the schedule off kilter a little bit. That's what I've been telling myself.
Yeah,
but
I did like the Saturday. I did like the Saturday morning drop though, but gave me memories of Rundown Friends.
Yeah. for sure.
But yeah, dude, last week, I don't know if it was for you, but it was just the absolute worst. With like work was one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And then here was like we weren't going to bed on time. The house is a disaster. We got to go do this, that, and the other thing. It just, I feel bad. I feel bad. We let the people down.
Yeah, there isn't enough time, especially like trying to get my new job. It's interesting because my new job almost gives me more time, but it's different. Like I'm on the road all day, so it's not as set a schedule. Like before, I knew that I would typically leave the office around 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Get home at a certain time. Now, like today, for example, I was heading to Bloomfield, Connecticut for what was going to be my last appointment of the day. I don't even really know where Bloomfield, Connecticut is.
Nope.
And it was around 3 o'clock, 3:30. And I started getting this feeling like, what if I'm just getting further and further away from home? And by the time I'm done with this appointment, how late is it going to be? So on my way to this doctor's office, I just plugged in my house and it said 2.5 hours away from home. So I didn't even go to the last appointment. I was like, I got to turn around and go home.
Right.
And luckily got home, made it to swim in time.
Okay, good. Brownie
Which helps with tonight. You know, I got my 5:30 swim, got the kids down, 8:30 drips. So we're getting there. We're getting back.
So you're kind of in the same boat that I think I was in when I took on my new role, because I was in operations before where I had direct reports and I had people working under me. I figured when I took this new role where I'm just myself, I have an intern starting next week, which we'll talk about more down the road, I guess. But I figured like, okay, I'm gonna be able to create my own schedule. Like, but I have more flexibility. I'll be able to do this, that, and the other thing. It's been the opposite. It's like you don't have those direct reports to kind of like not push stuff on, but delegate stuff to.
I know
like
exactly what you mean.
You're on your own. It's tough.
Yeah, and you have to be like, it's up to you. You know what I mean? Like you have to be driven enough to make sure that you are going to get everything done. You have to.
Dripping.
Oh, you got to be dripping too. I mean,
sure,
it's the name of the game. Yeah, like putting together. I'm finding that putting together the schedule is one of the more important parts. Like making sure the logistics make sense. Like it doesn't make sense for me to go to one part of Rhode Island and then drive all the way to the other. Like I should make all my appointments in the same area. So, you know, learning a lot about that, but you touched on something, the direct reports. It is definitely refreshing to not have those direct reports anymore. Yep. I do love the delegation. I used to love putting stuff on them, but only worrying about myself is such a huge difference. I like it a lot better.
No, I agree. You don't have to get the phone calls anymore of like, hey, what did so-and-so do? Like what happened there? It's like, if you're getting that phone call, it's about you. But no, I do miss the delegation. I'll be able to work my intern more this summer, which would be nice. But
college kid?
Yeah. Huh?
College kid?
College kid. Yeah. Seems like a smart kid. So hopefully that'll balance out my stupidity. But no, it is. And to be honest with you, like I like the role that I'm in. It's kind of what I've wanted to do. But there is a part of me that does miss the old way of living. Like, even though I thought that I was like, I never knew what, like I could have got calls at any time. I was running hotels, lots, like shit can happen that you have to go to. But like I worked enough to kind of get it to where it wouldn't be. But there's a part of me that misses that. Like, I'm leaving at 5 o'clok today, and like, there's nobody who's going to call me to come visit them tomorrow at 8 a.m. because they're going to buy a property. Like, that's the part that it's like, I kind of miss that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also, there's more of like the structure. There's something to be said about being seen too. Like, I'm out there, like, you show up to the office, if your boss is there, they see you in the office. They see you kind of crushing the keyboard, taking those phone calls. Like, they know you're in it. When you're out in the field, you know, hopefully they see the results from what you've done. But there's like that trust factor, and you got to hope that they know, you know, you're out there in the field hitting these accounts all day, every day. So
that's my thing, because I think you're in the same boat as me, where you're starting out hot. You got a couple big sales. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
I started off very hot, and I'm still doing fine. But there's the creeping fear in me that it's like, I don't touch base with everyone. I have an office in Boston. I have an office in Rhode Island. Like going to Boston nowadays with traffic, because I used to do the train, but I need to be mobile, is like 2 hours up, 2 hours back. Like a lot of times it doesn't make sense. So I'm probably, if I don't deliver to the point where I was before, is the creeping suspicion going to be like, all right, what's he doing? That nothing's happening here. Like I don't work for a company that thinks that way, luckily. But like that's in the back of your head. Like, all right, if I have a cold streak for 2 months, are they going to analyze like every little thing that I'm doing, or like we need to see you doing this more? So it's
and
a
then you
different
lose
kind
that
of
freedom. That's my fear. Like I think you're saying it exactly right, because if they start analyzing, you're no longer kind of in my opinion, I think you wouldn't be building your own scheduling, visiting the places you want to see. Instead, they'd be like, all right, well, we want to see you at this place, this place, this place. Send me your Outlook, like, calendar, send me your notes, like that whole thing. So
I do like a weekly touch base with like my direct report, and like we go through that stuff. But yeah, I mean, my thought process, if I don't do as well, or there's not enough progress or growth, like that'll happen more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. You want to avoid that. Like one of the senior sales guys was like, you don't want to get the phone call where they want you to start sending daily reports. Like if they ask you for a daily report, then you're probably in trouble. One thing we talked about though, but there's nothing better than when you see the fruit of your labor. Like, so for me, when I come in every morning, I can download this report and you could see any new orders and you can see like what facility they came from. So if I wake up and I see orders from a place that I, was just there, I'm like, it's pure elation. Like I can't even describe the feeling. You're like, wow, that's amazing.
My wife said to me the other day, she said something, I forget what, I don't think it was, maybe it was breast pump. She's like, we're not going to do it through insurance or something like that. It might not. I was like, the hell we are. I was like, we're calling John. We're going to figure out where it is. We're going to and she's like, is this for your show or something? I'm like, no, we're going to do it the right way, even if it costs more. So we're supporting the industry.
Absolutely. I'll get you that form. I can probably make sure there's not a cost. I'll give you the beanbag Ron treatment.
That's such a classy move too. He's like, it's $2,000, but for you, $700. I'm like, this guy rules.
The fact that he cut $1,000 off the top, I was like, all right.
There's no one stock, by the way, going back to that. There's no one stock outside of Kirk who's going up always. That is just more on the rise than beanbag Ron.
No.
And well deserved.
All around great
like
guy,
nobody sees the practices except for us, or even like what's going on inside the game. That kid is so locked in and wants to win. He's a leader.
Yeah, the hustle is definitely contagious.
Yep.
Sure. What's going on with your toy collection method? When you put that in we were in a group chat and you mentioned throwing away the toy, or it's a daily thing, a weekly thing. Can you run us through that?
Daily thing I've gotten into. I get so specific that I do, like, we have a bag full of Legos over there that really never gets touched, like the big ones. So this is for all parents out there, and I recommend you try it before you buy it, but try it and see how it goes. So every night for the last probably year, I either throw away a toy or I throw one in a box in the garage and I go dump it someplace that's like a donation center. Every night it's one toy. And there's so many goddamn toys. You got so many aunts, uncles, grandparents who are like, oh, we buy 100 more dinosaurs. It's like, fuck. There's caveats to the rule. If the dog, eats one of the toys, which she has a tendency to do, then you don't throw any away that day. Like, that's your toy that was thrown away. But every day I get rid of one toy. It has not gone noticed yet. I haven't had a conversation with him like, hey, where's this toy? But you do have your premium level toys that you don't touch.
Sure. Now, are you going like back of the bin? How do you decide which one goes? Obviously, you're not touching the premiums, but I'm assuming there's a lot more non-premium than there are premium.
There's a lot more premium than there are non-premium, but like this dials down to like McDonald's Happy Meals toys.
Oh yeah, you can get rid of those.
Single like the Lego blocks. Like if I'm feeling bored, I'll just grab a Lego and chuck it. But to be honest with you, we're in this new phase, and this is like, I probably shouldn't even say this because it makes me sound like just a terrible person, but like we're in a new phase where it was 8 o'clock the other night. We were getting ready for bed. I always try to start cleaning up before he goes to bed to get ahead of it. That's my role with my wife being so pregnant is I'll take care of the house at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's been happening is I pick up a toy, I put it in its appropriate bin, and then, but he's just sitting in a chair, like watching me do it and like almost smirking a little bit. And then he rises out of his chair. He walks over to the toy, picks it up, and replaces it in the spot in the middle of the living room where it shouldn't have been. So my move to get like little victories in my head is like if that's not a premium level toy, the one that he maliciously went out and put back, that's the goner.
That one's gone.
So I
You're
win.
like, oh, little buddy, you just set up that toy's death by doing that.
I still have the power. But in the morning, it doesn't matter. Like we're on to the next toy. But yeah, it was like a Hot Wheels car or something the other day. That was just like, he does it with a smile. And then he goes back and sits down. So I get like a little bit of a victory there, even though he doesn't notice it. But
then you with the smile, dropping it right on top of the dead bunny in the trash. That's it.
Yeah. See ya. Go hang out with the bunny. We did have a really classy delivery driver who brought our groceries. My wife did GoPuff or whatever it is for groceries. I forget what I don't know what it is. Not Drizzly, sober. And he gave my son a toy when he drove because my son said thank you at the window, and he brought over a little toy race car. So that's a premium level toy just for the thought. So shout out to him.
Justin?
Huh?
Was it Justin?
Nope, that'd have been a red flag. Yeah. He knows where you live now.
That is true. That is true.
What class funny by him coming to pick up New Jersey?
I had offered him on 2 different occasions that I could meet him somewhere. I was like, hey, I'm going to be on the road. If you want, I could schedule to kind of be in like northern Rhode Island so I can get to like the Attleboro area, like whatever would work better for you. And he's like, nope, I'll drive to you. I'll drive to your house. And then he goes, text me your address. I promise I won't dox you. I was like, I didn't think you were gonna do that. But dude, he's the absolute man, like the nicest guy.
Oh, Justin's great
doing that. And then he was happy. Like he came, he was like, oh, it was a great drive. It took me back roads. So I was glad I got to see him, random, what is it? Tuesday
working his ass off too. Yeah. Absolutely working his ass off at practice. He's the biggest one out there, but the last one to want to like take a break or do anything. Like he's just grinding his face. And I think it'll show on Thursday. I think him and Coleman are both going to surprise some people.
Dude, he looked like he was hustling in those videos from practice that I should have been at. Yeah, there was like the camera had panned to a situation that had nothing to do with Justin. I think it was probably like the Kirk Mick thing or maybe something with Mutt, but off to the side, you could see Justin running full speed.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he's grinding. He's gonna do well on Thursday. It'll be a good night.
He looked like slimmer too. Like when he showed up to my house, he popped out of his car. I was like, this kid looks good.
Yeah, happy for him. Big game Thursday.
All right, why don't we get into, just because it's getting a little long
Crunch
here.
For
we'll get
time?
into some. Yeah, I think so. Oh, real quick, I have one story for you. Not really a story, but I got to get this off my chest. I want to see what you think about it. So there's this pizza place nearby in Bristol, Rhode Island. No free ads, but the place is called Pomodoro.
Why would you say Bristol?
What do you mean?
You could have just said Rhode Island, right? Isn't there only one?
Oh, yes. You're absolutely right.
Cool.
Well, there's about to be 2, as you'll find out. So it's more of an Italian restaurant, I should say. Small, little, cozy Italian spot. They happen to do pizza.
Okay.
So I've known for a little while that they're opening up a legit pizza place. So one's like an Italian sit-down dinner. Now they're going to open just a straight-up pizza place in town. So now Rhode Island can have 2 pizza spots.
Wow. Exciting.
Very exciting. I've known about it. I love the pizza at Pomodoro, so I'm happy about this new spot. But I just saw on Instagram, they go, hey, when I think they're calling it Pio's or something. When Pio's opens, we're going to stop serving pizza at Pomodoro. Now, I'm not a big, I understand. I kind of get what they're doing, but sometimes I like getting an Italian meal, like maybe a bolognese or something like that. But then you get a pizza to share at the table.
1,000%.
So you're telling me I can't get pizza when I go to Pomodoro now anymore? What are your thoughts on this?
Is that permanent?
I don't know. I just saw it before I sat down.
I hope that's a month-long push to get people to go to the new place and then they roll things back into it, because I'm not a fan of it. I understand the logic behind it, but I'm with you.
Isn't it kind of like shiesty though? Like, doesn't that come off like
same ownership?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
No, you're gonna have to go to our other place if you want our pizza. Like,
I think your standard non-drip, which there's plenty out there, would be like, okay, try it out. Try it. They'll be excited about the new place. But I think you and I look at it that way, where it's like, what are you doing? Chopping off the one hand to feed the. I don't think that's the phrase. You think?
No, I actually think that means something, and it said feed, and we're talking about food.
Feed the other food. I don't love the move. I understand it. If it's a permanent move, I think it could be a big mistake for them as a whole. Because exactly what you said, that's a nice move. A lot of the time, especially in an Italian restaurant, appetizers are kind of like meh. A lot of them are like, I can't even read them. So perfect as a small cheese, throw it in the middle, everybody grabs a slice and you move on.
Yeah. Maybe you don't want to eat a whole pizza, but you know, everybody wants at least one slice. I mean, nobody's not going to eat one slice of pizza if a pizza gets put on a table.
I think the play, and I think what their big miss is going to be here, is they should have stopped takeout for that month. Stopping, and I understand there's probably ingredient back, like there's ordering of ingredients and having them in stock. And, you know, you don't know what maybe you don't know your take home, your takeout to dine in ratio. Maybe it isn't great, but I think, I don't think you could just pull the plug. I think a healthy solution is we still have pizza on the menu, but you know, while we're opening, we're only doing pizza at the new place. You can come sit down and have a pie if you like. Maybe you'll have a couple drinks. They make more money. See, this is marketing. Not like fucking Gilroy's marketing girls buying views, or someone else who we know.
Or I guess they could have you could limit your pizza options. Like you could say, oh, at the original restaurant, we're only serving these 2 pies. If you want the full pizza menu, you go to the pizza spot. But I think taking pizza away from a restaurant that traditionally has pizza is a wild move in my opinion.
They're too aggressive. It's too aggressive a move in my opinion. Hopefully they roll it back after a month, but keep me posted on that because I will Yelp the shit out of them.
I will. Maybe I get down there and do some live reporting. We'll see.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Pat, run us through your KMS thoughts for the week.
Sure.
Obviously, we had Mick and Mutt. We had Mr. Peltier,
not bad,
with an amazing performance today in more than one way.
Do you listen to the show? No,
yes.
Karen Reed.
Oh, I thought you asked. Yeah,
got it.
He was one of the ones. Like, there are certain people who come on, and if you're quiet, it's terrible. But he was sort of quiet. But every time he said something, it got a little pop. Like
if you go back and listen, some of his one-liners are just kind of out there, and like I don't think he's even trying for them to land, but they do. I like the appearance. But he's very quiet, and not listening to the show isn't great. But I was fine with it. And his testicles are out. You know, I've never said this in a straight sense, but his testicles are fantastic. They're always out.
One ball out, one ear out. Like the guy.
That was like a gasp laugh for me. That was like a. And I went right into laughing. That was like genuine laughter when I realized, like, okay, he's just flopping one out. Like, that's plastic on your ear.
Yes, there's no way you wouldn't be able to feel that. It's got to be the ketamine or whatever.
No, it has to be Joanne, who's destroyed his eardrums with all her yapping over the years. No offense to Joanne or John. He doesn't know what the fucking difference is at this point.
I loved when Mike said, he's like, well, the situation with the headset can't be what I'm thinking it is. And Kirk was like, no, it's exactly what you're thinking.
But Mike started to do it, and he's like, yeah, exactly what you think it is.
That's so
all right. So other topics. So we'll go back to what we missed last week. We had Clemmer return.
Yep.
I never liked Clemmer shows. Like there's a guy. Oh, who is it? He sent me a couple of them. I'll find out who messaged me. But he found both of my calls from back in the day where I would call in and just, I think I offered Clemmer like free parking for the rest of his life if he never came on the show again. Like I hated Clemmer shows for a very long time, and he didn't bring really anything to the table, but the game being terrible was great. Like I was happy to see him back in there.
I thought the appearance was pretty good
of Chris Clemmer's Rat Race.
That's right. And this is Clemmer's drip. I don't know. I don't have a good joke for that. I'm in the same boat as you. I was never a huge Clemmer guy. Like I didn't dislike the guy or anything. It just wasn't really my cup of tea. I don't really know like old baseball. I don't really know old movies and old music. And that's kind of what they would talk about. I still enjoy the conversation because if whenever it's a conversation where like it's Kirk's specialty, like that's always just fun to listen to. But again, I was never a big Clemmer guy. I wasn't a big Carano guy. I said this on the Meta show, but despite not liking him I was rooting for him to get the job at Barstool, and then I kind of like that he's become a character just because it's like one of your own, like he came from the community and whatever.
No, I get that. It was Cullinane's bald spot. So shout out Cullinane's bald spot. I didn't want to miss, but he's been sending me those clips. No, I agree with you. I was rooting for him to get the job. I don't know if it was like because Kirk hated him, I hated him, but it was. I'm happy to see he's doing well. He has his own brand, Chris Clemmer's Rat Race or whatever the fuck it is. What a lunatic! I
kind of can't get over his sneakers. They're gigantic Nikes and they're green and yellow. I don't really get it.
Can we go there? Like actually, so we'll go back to drips for a second because that's a great transition. I've been to networking, like the networking events I go to. We had like a family reunion where everybody flew in from all over the country. That's the new fucking style. Suits with Jordans, suits with Air Force. It's everywhere. I don't even know what those shoes are. It's everywhere. I can't do it. I hate it.
I don't like it at all. I don't think it looks good.
Have you seen it?
I've seen people do it. And how about when you watch like ESPN or anything? I feel like the announcers, when they pan away, I think it looks dumb.
I think so too. I think if you have like that Southern California look or draw, like I think then it's like, okay, fine. Like I don't think you can wear a tie with it. I think it's just got to be a blazer, and like I think it looks better if you have a turtleneck opposed to a button down. But no, it's not my style. And I did ask my wife if she thought I could pull them off because I kind of wanted to try it, but she shut me down, and I appreciate it for her for doing that.
Well, that's the thing. It's most like regular people aren't going to pull it off because regular, like I don't know, 48-year-old man from the Midwest, when he does it, he's wearing like a baggy suit pant. He doesn't even realize that, and it looks stupid over the.
It has to be tailored perfectly. It's not a good look. I prefer the dress pant, dress shoes look all day. But that I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's been bugging me.
Plus, dress pants have come a long way, and I love dress pants. I'm sorry,
dress shoes hair from H&M. They're great.
Well, I like both. Do you have? I love how we're so back into the topics, and I'm so deep. Do you have the what are they, like Cole Haan, where it's like the bottom is sneakers but the top is dress shoe?
Three pairs. Yeah,
those are those are a beauty.
If you could find, it's a brand name called 90.
Yeah, they come across my Instagram. Yeah,
it's the same shoe. It's a little less like supportive, but it's the same style, and it's like it's literally half the price. So I have one pair of those, and then I have a black pair and a gray pair of the Cole Haans.
Nice. The Cole Haans are so expensive. You got to go like outlet or.
And they've been like their new style too, so they went with that. Like I like those a lot. Like the very like wearable dress shoe. They're now trying to get into the sneaker field. Like I'll send you a picture of the new ones. I see them all the time. It just doesn't work. It's too sneakery, and they're trying to push it as a dress. So I don't like that. Wow, we went off topic. I figured it would go back to that. I'm glad it did too. We have Mick and Mutt in together. And one thing I will say, if you go back a month when everything transpired, compared to how they walked out of that studio on Monday, the teams were in a good spot. I think there's definitely whatever's going on is going on. But I think there's mutual respect. The desire to win is the bottom line. And that's what I came out of there on Monday.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely that feeling of, despite anything that takes place, when you walk through those gym doors, like you leave it all behind. I think everyone has that attitude. I think
we just have to win. That's all I think about. It's crazy.
Yep.
Absolutely crazy. We will. We're clicking as a team. We'll get this moving in the right direction. And then we since we're bums and we took last week off accidentally, Rico's out of his mind.
I thought you were about to go Cliff on me.
That's next.
Yeah.
Good Cliff something. But Rico, this is jumping to unnamed. Crazy. And that's why I like Rico. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I hate Rico. He's fucking crazy. This is that and the other thing. I think he's toned it down a lot, but regardless. He's nuts. That's great. Nuts. That's great. Reach out to somebody like, edit the mops out so I can hang these out in my basement.
I absolutely love that. I love when someone pointed out that he was holding it certain ways on purpose to look like a handshake.
Oh,
I can't believe it took this long to come out.
Me too. Wild move by Quiggs for keeping that one high and tight.
I noticed that just like your hair, I noticed that Quiggs has his DMs open, and there was a picture that Don the Jeweler, shout out Don the Jeweler, he posted it somewhere. It was from the second game before the game started. We were all there pretty early. I'm on the bleachers. I'm sitting there. I'm like looking at my phone. Next to me is Bobby, and in the forefront is Josh. You can see all three of us perfectly. And I really wouldn't do this, but I was just thinking, like, as a bit, I would send that to Quiggs and go, "Hey, can you edit out me holding my phone and make it look like me and Bobby are like giving dad, or like something to the effect of like playing on the Rico thing,
holding $100 bill."
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Quiggs gets like, he jumps into stuff sometimes where he probably would do it randomly. Like, he's done it. Do you remember? It took me so long. It was the episode of The Dozen where, do you remember when Jeff was like, this was right when Augustus was a producer, when we got like the view of his house, when Jeff was like, oh, what is this banging in the background? And he dropped the green screen and like walked out. In my head, it didn't even click. I was like, holy shit, like, what? You should have kept the fucking green screen up. That was my first reaction. After like a day, I looked at it online. That was fucking Gus's bedroom in the background. That's gold.
Didn't he not even... He ended up saying that after the fact somewhere. I don't know if it was on.
It wasn't on that episode, because I left that episode being like not even really processing it, and I think somebody said it the next day. But I think he said he might have called in.
He called in, or somehow it came out on a. I don't know if he went on. No, because his Mike and the Minifans appearance was more recent. But yes, I know what you're talking about.
That was funny as hell. I think that was a Quiggs project.
That's great. So,
but I am moving past the unnamed show. I'm a Cliff guy.
I'm also a Cliff guy. However,
no,
nothing bad. But think about, I feel like me and you need to control our fandom for when people come on once, because dude, we were
Gill Boys.
We were Gill Boys, and we were running around active Gill Boys. I had my shirt off. I mean, I don't think Cliff will go. Well, first of all, I still am okay with Gilroy, but I don't know if I'd call myself a hashtag Gilboy anymore.
Gilroy's fine. I'm no longer a Gilboy unless something crazy happens. But yeah, our Gilboyness is renounced. But I agree with you. We fall in love.
Yes, we do.
It's a problem. Story of my college too.
I love that he came out hot. I think that's a great move.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might only get. Well, I guess in his situation, it's his second time, but I didn't really remember him from the producer search, to be honest.
Once I saw him, I did. I saw him, I was like, I remember this guy.
Dude, the Jefferson's line to Cinema Lords about him coming out of photo, so funny. And I like that Cinema Lords enjoyed it too. Like, he didn't get mad about it. He thought it was funny.
He's the man. I'm a huge Cinema Lords guy. Just want to throw that out there. It turns out my best friend from college is his neighbor growing up.
Cinema.
But yeah, he handled it well, because originally going in, he was like, I want to expose that fraud from Fall River. I think Alice Shattuck went in with a similar like attitude or mindset, and Cinema Lord's like, fuck you, right from the jump. But then Cliff said something funny, which was that line. He was like, yeah, all right, this guy's fine.
Yeah.
I like, so a couple things. I do like how he came out hot. I liked all of it. But one thing I will say, and whatever the team wants to do, I think Kirk said it today, where this is our team, and I'm great with that. I love every member of this team.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk the talk that you are going to change the team, and you're going to fix this team, and
15 points
and that, and you gotta walk the walk.
Yeah.
You gotta walk the walk. Maybe Coleman didn't give him a healthy edit of the video. Who knows?
Are you saying those were lowlights?
I'm not saying that. I'm not judging anyone's basketball skill, because I'm distraught with how I've been playing. You gotta walk the walk. You gotta be out there like, okay, all right, we got something here. Regardless of whatever it is, I was a Cliff guy. I'm excited to hear him on Mike and the Minifans tomorrow, Friday night.
Yeah, shout out
Mike
and the Minifans.
BA.
Yeah,
he brought a cellular modem with him to Bora Bora, and he's going to be doing it from the mountains of Bora Bora. I think he's backpacking through Europe, right?
Yeah, I believe he is as well. He's a
Yeah,
very
so
active guy. He
huge,
loves the
huge
outdoors.
shout out to him for doing that and jumping in here and giving Gus a breather. But no, that's a good cat. I think that's Kane. Who else? Cliff.
Kane, Cliff, and
Maybe we don't say this. Maybe this isn't out there.
yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
Shit.
I thought Luke was funny on Mike and the Minifans. I saw people were hating on Luke, but he was a great ad.
You and I have been open borders guys from day one. I got to catch up on the most recent episode, but Luke was the perfect needler. And
Yeah,
like when
he was pissing people off.
when he said, "I'm no longer a Kirk Minahan fan, I'm a Gus fan," Gus, you could tell that was like he's like, "All right, enough. I don't want to do this." Like that's gold. And then when Metters pops on, he's like, "Yeah, I've been a cricket guy my whole life. Like this is this." I think Luke was great. Luke's that guy.
Yeah, Luke's a good guy. One more take on Cliff. We almost need a third Fall River guy because Cinema Lords, we found out, is now a Somerset resident. Jefferson. Cliff is living in Seekonk.
That was my favorite line, and it's probably because we know the area. But he's like,
I'm not in Fall River anymore.
I moved out of the big city. I moved from Fall River to Seekonk.
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's literally the next town over. Amazing. But he did go over the bridge, so I guess
he's over the
that line, that had me dying.
That was so funny. Also, shout out to Kirk for randomly knowing that there's a Motel 6 in Seekonk. Like, Kirk is not a South Shore guy. He doesn't head to Seekonk's close to Rhode Island. He doesn't head to Rhode Island quite a bit, and he just knew there was a Motel 6 in Seekonk. I thought
Kirk's
so random.
I guarantee you that he did know that, but I think it's also a very safe assumption to assume that there is 1 to 6 Motel 6s in the town of Seekonk. Not that it's a bad town. A friend of mine grew up there, RJ. But no, very, very intelligent. Knows the lay of the land. Yeah, as a Cliff guy. And for the record, Beanbag Ron, not Portuguese. My mother's maiden name is Diebru. Okay, from the Azores.
Oh, the Azores.
Yep. Very minimal percentage. I tan like a Portuguese. Gold.
You look kind of tan right now.
Thank you. It's the light. I appreciate that though.
I gotta stop giving these compliments out, dude.
Yeah. Ego is gonna skyrocket.
All right, you got anything else before we wrap this up?
Let me just double check my notes. No, I don't know when this is gonna come out. If we do it Wednesday, if we do it Saturday again, or if we do it whatever we do it. But happy Father's Day.
Yeah, to you as well.
To all the fathers out there.
That's right.
And to the dads that stepped up. Whatever that shirt said at Cinema. We got to get them that.
Cinema.
And that's how we'll end it.
And shout out to Beanbag Ron.
Shout out to Beanbag Ron. Thank you. All right. Night.
And